Yay. Okay. This looks good. I'll be right back. All right, we got some consistency there. All right, so I decided I need to use the microphone like a microphone. I need to hold it up to my face like this. So this is exciting. It's working. Thank God. I'm pretty sure it's working. Oh, I guess I can find out. I'm going here. Uh-oh. Video output low, it says. Not too good. Stream complete. No, come on. Yikes. How about now? How about now? No? How about now? It says I have a good connection. So, yeah, you know what? Do that. Do that. Go live. Yeah, it says I have a good connection, so I'm just gonna, on faith, assume it's working. And you know what? Here, I'll start recording. That way, no matter what happens, this will be able to go out. So, that looks like a problem. Let's not use Google Earth. Let's just stick with bread and butter. Pictures. I think pictures are a much better way to get information, because people's words can be, well, they can be lies, and they can be misinterpreted more easily. Some people don't always say exactly what they're trying to say, and people don't always interpret what someone said the way they should be interpreting it. Therefore, I feel more comfortable getting my information through images. Is it perfect? No. Images can be photoshopped, and images can also be misleading to a certain extent. I just find them more attractive when it comes to how much I trust the information I'm getting. So, you know, look at this. There's make it nice and big. There are windows. You know, arches are like you can consider that an artistic flair. that is an artistic flair. And they all, for them to all be at the same height, they weren't just throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. They had a plan here, and these artistic flares were meant to be seen. They were not meant to be below ground level and buried. Not only were they meant to be seen, they were meant to be seen out of by people inside. So, I know I'm explaining this as if you're 5 years old. I'm sorry, but some people act as if they are. So I need to cover all my bases here. So that's where the ground level used to be, way the heck up here, way above this guy's head. Now they're using one of these windows now as a port of entry for what looks to be a sewer pipe. Now that brings up a whole new topic, or another aspect of this topic, is that the civilization that built these buildings don't appear as if they needed sewage or toilets. It doesn't even seem like they took that into consideration when they were building their cities and their buildings. And this leads one to look back at all the cathedrals and how there's a cymatic pattern and all those, not all of them, but the round stained glass artistic things above the doorways, above the arches in most cathedrals. That relates to frequency and how frequency can take 3D form, and it makes one think about that. How all of those cathedrals and megalithic sites all around the world, how they're all located on ley lines, or on what the Chinese call dragon lines, which are the electromagnetic grid around the earth. And so perhaps people were going to church not to worship or for religious reasons, but they were going there to recharge their batteries, and able to sustain themselves without eating, and therefore not needing sewage lines. So this sewage line here was an afterthought. Obviously they were a civilization that was it wasn't that they were just like knuckle dragging stone cavemen that just pooped outside. Like, no, these people had sophistication and style, and they're more advanced than we are. They're not going to be able to build incredibly durable and beautiful works of art like this, and at the same time pooping in a hole. That just doesn't compute. I think that, and that's the reason that we grow old and die today, I believe, is because our diet, and how no matter how good of a diet you're eating, it's your body is going to build up toxins, because as good as the food is, it's not perfect, and we're talking about parts per billion or parts per trillion of toxins that your body stores in your liver, and over time you start maxing out your ability to store all of these toxins, and then you grow old and die. But if we were able to sustain ourselves off of pure energy from the grid somehow, that energy would sustain us without giving us toxins that we would have to store in our liver. So I believe that is why we grow old and die, and that's why these people had a much longer lifespan. And you would have to have a longer lifespan to build the kind of things that they build, also because they take time. Each one of these bricks were laid by hand, and this is something we can do today. We just don't, because it's more expensive, more time consuming, but it's also more durable. So they were worried about longevity because they knew they were going to be around long enough for it to matter. The materials that we build with today represent our short-sightedness, because one lifetime to us, it makes sense to build with the cheap and shoddy building materials that we use today, because if you're not going to worry about investing in something that's going to be there after you're dead and gone. So it all makes sense, is what I'm trying to say. And when things make sense like that, I feel pretty good about believing that it happened, especially because I haven't seen any proof against it. When I look around the world and on Google Earth and whatnot, I keep finding things to support that, as well as in our mythology. All the cultures around the world, they all talk about a flood. So, and the Atlantis myth is no exception, and that also revolves around flooding, inundation. Now look at this. These are ruins of, but they obviously look like modern street grids, right? And I'm seeing this kind of stuff all over the world as well. I'm not going to open up Google Earth right now, but if you go back to some of my older Google Earth videos, you will see all of these street grid patterns that I find all over the place. But these are ruins right here. But one would be understood if they misinterpreted this as a like modern result of like carpet bombing in Japan or something. But no, this is ancient ruins. And look at that, they have cobblestone roads, just like we see in some parts of the world today. So we have re-inhabited and still use this civilization that built this, their roads and some of their structures that have survived to this point. But yeah, carpet bombing could have been what made this look like this. But it's either they did that, or a huge tsunami happened, or they both happened. The Earth has been through quite a lot of turmoil, and our history isn't a straight line. It's not. It doesn't go from cavemen to us in a linear fashion. There was a whole lot of ups and downs in Earth's history. But yeah, here's some more ruins that have a modern street grid. And that street grid, you can see it protracted out to, out here. But out here, they just used it for their farming, But at one time, that was street grids, or whatever. Whatever the case may be, however you deduce this area looks like this now, it probably, I wouldn't say that this hurts the idea of the mud flood in any way. This is an image of France, and now this is World War II damage right here. and it's kind of suspicious, perhaps, that they bomb a lot of places that have a lot of this old architecture. You would think that they would want to preserve this type of stuff and make it like, how they have like wildlife preserves, and also how they have historic buildings. I would make this whole neighborhood one of those historic, landmarks or whatever. But we bomb the hell out of all the places that look like this. It's as if somebody's trying to cover up the past, so we don't know what really happened. History is written by the winners, and history implies, right in its name, his story, that it's a tall tale, a fish tale, a big fish story. Here's some more what look like modern city blocks, but buried and destroyed. And here's an aerial view of some city blocks that look just the way they look in Google Earth. Some people consider Google Earth to be like an artistic interpretation, not the real thing. So I guess I'm trying to stay away from Google Earth now, because I understand that fear. This is I can't ever show this off enough. This is my favorite work of art. I made this using Photoshop, and it blurs the lines, ironically, between abstract and not abstract. It's abstract, but at the same time it's not, because you can tell that these are faces. Yeah. And there's also, like, it looks like a flower right here, a flower with what that stamen, John Stamos stamen. The flowers have those phallus type things in the center, and then the rose part around it. At least that's what it looks like to me. Which is why it's abstract, because to somebody else it could look like something completely different, like maybe the tail lights on a 52 Bel Air. My aunt showed me how to use Photoshop. Now this is the California wildfire issue, where the fire isn't hot enough to melt that. That's molten. It's probably the parts of the engine or whatever. It's like aluminum, I believe, that melted. And a normal wildfire wouldn't get hot enough to melt metal like that. Certainly not in the middle of the street where there's nothing to burn except there's just pavement, and even the fuel inside the car wouldn't. You need like a blast furnace to melt metal, so it's not possible for even fuel burning without being in a blast furnace. It's not going to melt metal. So I'm glad that PG&E seems to be getting their wrists slapped for these fires, because you're damn straight, the energy to produce these deliberately set fires by arsons sure did need PG&E's complicity there, or either that or they're generating a massive amount of energy for their directed energy weapons somehow. But I better not talk about stuff like that if I want to keep my monetization. Now here is the campfire wildfire. This was the most deadly one. It killed like 30 people, I want to say. I'm not sure about that figure, but it definitely killed some folks, and it's the most obvious example I can show you of how there wasn't a fire. There wasn't a wildfire because all the trees around the entire neighborhood are green and beautiful. They're healthy, I would say. There doesn't look like a fire was anywhere near this place, and if I was a fireman, or if I was tasked with the responsibility of determining where the fire originated, I would have to say somewhere in the middle of the city, right here in the rural, I'm sorry, I meant to say urban, not rural, landscape here. This is Anytown, USA. This could be your house, your mom's house, your family member's house. So we should all be concerned. This isn't some far off place that some place where things happen that don't affect us. Like, this could affect any one of us, because this looks just like this neighborhood that you live in, most likely. So I'm scared shitless about this, and it's good to see that at least somebody's being held accountable in some way, shape, or form, but it's definitely not enough. Just slapping PG&E on the wrist is not enough. We need to get to the bottom of this. Really, it's very alarming and troubling. But PG&E is a monopoly, a protected monopoly. Monopolies aren't supposed to be legal, but PG&E is a protected monopoly, just the way baseball and major sports are monopolies. But that makes sense in baseball. But there really should be competition for where we get our energy. And water used to be free. How come we're paying for water these days? What's going on? I remember when I was growing up, they didn't sell water bottles. Like, you could get like a 5-gallon jug, like that you would get if you were going camping or something, and sometimes you would pay 25 cents to fill up a big jug outside. But not only have we started paying for single servings of water, but they're also billing us for the water we use at our homes. And I'm confused about that. I thought water used to be free. I thought that was something our tax dollars provided for us. And why that there's drinking fountains in public places and stuff, because it was supposed to be free for the public. Things are sure changing. Yeah, here's some more of the wildfire when it was still going on, and here's kids playing soccer. But yeah, it wasn't a wild area. They just they make some lights and noise on the hills, and then have police go around to these people's neighborhoods and tell them to get the hell out of there. See that smoke over there? Yeah, you better get out of here. We'll be back in 24 hours to make sure you're gone. Bring all your stuff, because your place is going to get burnt down. Yeah, police are really going to people's doors, telling them that they got to get skedaddle. Like, that's ridiculous. if the fire is far enough away for there to be enough time for police to go around giving people a 24-hour heads up, then that means there's enough time to go get a bunch of water and fire retardant and make sure the fire doesn't arrive anywhere near people's houses. You know, it's insulting to our firemen to think that they're so incompetent that they can't prevent a fire in 24 hours. They can't prevent a fire that's threatening a neighborhood from actually burning down an entire neighborhood. That means they are so piss poor at their jobs, and I for one, am going to give them more credit, give them what they deserve, and we shouldn't collectively as a unit all agree that firemen are so piss poor at what they do that they can't prevent this fire from reaching these children here. That's ridiculous. They have all kinds of ways of stopping that from happening. And so, yeah, this is one thing that bugs me, because I was talking about it the day of, and back when it was happening. Like, now people are aware that there's some negative forces behind this, but when it was all happening, people were very easily they were docile, and they bought the story hook, line, and sinker. And it bothers me that we're not sharp enough collectively to be hip to their game. And yeah, I can't watch the news these days anymore. Like last night, they when they were introducing the idea of the 10 o'clock news coming on, they were we'll get to this picture in a second. They were saying, okay, and tonight Lady Gaga is gonna give her 2 cents about the Gilroy mass shooting, you know, as if, you know, and this was Fox News. This isn't some liberal ass CNN or whatever. Fox News is hyping up their presentation by saying Lady Gaga is gonna say what she wants to say about, you know, what if I wanted to say what I wanted to say about it? Am I gonna is the news gonna hype up their entire presentation based on my appearance? No, but they'll do it for Lady Gaga. Like, why? Why do we care what Lady Gaga? Why is that a Fox newsworthy thing at all, let alone what they're going to run their entire presentation on for that evening? No, it's completely ludicrous. Now, look at this. Oh, and also the other day they said Alyssa Milano says that all women should stop having sex until abortion is legalized. And this was also Fox News, mind you. Like, I would expect that from CNN or any other news organization, but Fox News is letting us know that Alyssa Milano's tweet for the day is newsworthy and important. Like, and it's some liberal ass shit on Fox News. What the fuck? Fox? Why is Fox? It seems I might be losing my broadcast. But let's get back to the mud flood, shall we? So look at this image. This image here is just like I got 3 thumbs down on my last video. I thought I did a good job on it, but I noticed the sound was real low. So hopefully I fixed that problem. But this is just like what I was trying to show in the Google Earth. I deleted that video now, but there was a bunch of buried houses in Google Earth that I was showing, and here's an example of one in real life, with drone footage, and it even has a fucked up roof like the ones I was showing in Google Earth. Obviously there's no road leading to this house. Obviously it's built with materials we don't use today. It looks like a castle, and this is the antediluvian civilization that built this. It has to be. This doesn't fit into the timeline we had shoved down our throats in K through 12 and our government funded education. This doesn't fit. Let's go back to all images. Okay. I guess that's all I got. This image is always fun to look at. There's all these ports here, as if this is a huge bustling city, but very few buildings. In fact, many of the city blocks are barren, desolate. The buildings that are there are short buildings, one maybe 2, maybe 3 stories, but there's the port would make you believe that this was a big bustling city with skyscrapers, not empty street blocks just 2 blocks in. No, it doesn't add up. And all around empty street blocks, empty street grid as far as the eye can see. Doesn't add up. And there's a lot. I'm having a hard time finding it right now, but there's even better images, aerial images of the entire San Francisco, and you could see the in some of my other videos. I'm surprised I don't have that picture on hand though. Looks a lot like this, but it's San Francisco. But yeah, right here we're seeing a lot of empty street blocks. Empty, completely empty, just trees growing in it. Like, that doesn't make sense. You don't just build a street grid pattern before, it just doesn't happen. There would have to be buildings all around here. And it makes me think about dirt roads. How does a road become dirt? Like, yeah, I get confused because it's just obviously the city planning wasn't done by us, and so I don't know how how a city comes into being. Like, obviously we just re-inhabited our cities. But Conspiracy R Us does a good job at making the point of how they didn't have any systems in place for their sewage. And the cat is starting to have my tongue, but I'm going to come back and warm up for busking in a little while, so stay tuned for that. And until next time, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think down below.